Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be doing the review of my tips and going through the tips for the next round. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see there, yes it is actually on the screen. I actually tipped the first one right. This one's actually got over the line. I actually have written down here in brackets, Western Bulldogs 14-24, as I thought, well, I'm going to be 30 points off in the thing, as that's happened. Here we go, 38 off, 52 off, and that was about, what's going on here? Don't want an advertisement. 32 off, 24 off, so not bad that week. 24 off, 38 points off, so sort of the trend continues, I guess. If I get back, there's always a trend of about 20 to 40 points off. So let me quickly get back to the round 18. So yeah, getting the Swans pick right, that was a tough one to watch. Tight all the way. And yeah, so the Swans keep their season just fractionally alive. And I think basically they have to win 5 out of 6, at least. And if they get, if results don't, they need like 1 or 2 results, which is going to happen. 1 or 2 results to flip their way across the last 6 weeks, they can get in with 5. And if they can win all their games, they're in. It doesn't really matter what other teams do, just because of the way mathematically it works with teams playing each other. Some teams are going to have to, in the top 6, there's not going to be a way in which, with there being Geelong, St Kilda, West Bulldogs, Essendon, GWS, Carlton, Richmond, Adelaide, Gold Coast, there's, 4 spots available, and there's so many teams. With the way mathematically it works, basically, there's not a way in which a team can, I think there is, but teams have to play like 6, they'd have to win all their games, and some teams play Collingwood and Port Adelaide, etc. So there's pretty much mathematically no way that this one's with 6 wins won't get in on 13.5 wins. So that's the case, but 5 wins leaves the door open, but they have a decent enough percentage, I'm pretty sure, to get into 7th or 8th. So Sydney, Western Bulldogs, 78-76, good pick there. Melbourne against Brisbane, what a game! And I picked the right team. Melbourne by 22 didn't end up happening. They won by 1, but picked it right again. So that was a good pick. Collingwood, I picked by 33, and they ended up winning by 46. So I was a little bit off on that one by 13 points. So not a bad pick. Still got the pick right. Gold Coast against St Kilda. I did not expect Gold Coast to come out and play this well. They played really, really well. I had Saints by 25, and they ended up actually losing by 26. So it was a 51-point turnaround. Luckily, there's no margins in this game outside of the first pick of the round. Carlton against Port. I picked Carlton by 17. They ended up winning by 50. They demolished Port, and I think that was the game that a lot of people picked wrong, as I just had this sneaky suspicion that Port were going to lose it. I didn't expect Port to come in with 6 guys out, and I didn't suspect Butters to basically be negligible in the second half. So it was basically Connor Rosie versus Carlton in that game. And yeah, Carlton just ran over the top of them and ended up winning. So I'm really happy that I got that tip right, as I think that was the tip that got me up around 40,000 across the whole player base. Geelong against Essendon, picked Geelong by 26, and they ended up winning by 77. So a big margin off that game, but still got the tip right, and that's all that you need to know. Adelaide by 34, and they lost by 14. Oh, that's a bad tip. So yeah, Giants ended up winning by 14, but 48 margin off, and the loser, and didn't tip the loser in the end. Not the best tip, obviously, but GWS look good, and that's the reason why they've won 9 games this year, and they could be on for finals. they could be. Didn't expect them to be. I need to actually go back and look at my predicted ladder because I think the only teams that I've gotten right so far are West Coast, North, and I might have even picked Hawthorn to win the wooden spoon. My predictions are going to go bad, and I had Collingwood, I think, 7th. So my predictions are going to go bad. But yeah, that's the way predictions work, and I think it's a lot more volatile in the AFL compared to other sports. I think that's the way the draft works as well. It sort of works in helping a lot of the teams springboard. And I think we've seen that with, who was springboard? I don't remember, was Port there last year? They might have been in finals last year, but I don't think they made finals last year. St Kilda, I think, missed out. Essendon haven't played finals in a while, I don't think, or won a final. And they're in 8th. You've got GWS there, Carlton there, Richmond are around there. So you've got a lot of teams that are around there that didn't really play a main role. Obviously, you've got Collingwood, Brisbane and Melbourne and Geelong from last year. Swans could make a late charge, and I think they will, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But this has been a lot more competitive this year, and it's actually been fun, even though the Swans are losing, just to watch this season. I said Hawthorn by 17, they ended up winning by 48, so they ended up winning quite convincingly, but I mean, I just need to pick Hawthorn. And then Richmond obviously won, and they won by 38, and I picked 35. So actually a really good tip there, considering you don't know what you're going to get from West Coast. I have actually liked how they've been a lot more competitive since the Swans game. Competitive against St Kilda. Who did they play last week? They didn't play competitive last week, did they? I think they got played off the park by this team. Didn't they? Where are they? They lost to Brisbane by 80 odd points. So they've been competitive 2 out of the last 3 weeks, which has been pretty good for the game. Now moving on to the tips for round 19. What a good game we have to start the round. Essendon, Western Bulldogs. I do actually like Western Bulldogs in this matchup. It is at Marvel Stadium, so I just think Western Bulldogs are going to win this game. I think Bont's going to have a 35 disposal, 2 goal effort. I think English is going to absolutely dominate in the right, because it looks like they're going to pick that. Draper and Phillips are out, so it looks like they're going to pick that sort of... Is he a rookie? I think it might be a rookie, Ruckman. But I think Western Bulldogs win this game by 31 points. I do think they actually win it pretty convincingly in the end, as I think their midfield will just overpower Essendon. Richmond against Hawthorn. I actually really like Richmond. I think Richmond could be a sneaky chance to make finals from here. And it probably isn't almost a sneaky chance at this point because they're 2 points off making it. But they do have bad percentage, which means they do actually probably, they probably need to make win 5. Win 5 of the remaining 6 games to make it. I don't think they can make it on 50 points. I think they're going to need to make it on 54, which is 13.5 wins for them just because of percentage. And obviously, I do think there will be a team on 52 as well, so that will knock them down. I do think that you need 50 and a good percentage, or 54, as I do think there will be teams around that 50-52 range. I think it's going to be a tight race, but I do think Richmond's going to win this one, and I'm going to say Richmond by... I think 28 points is reasonable. I do think Hawthorn against a good side do get blown away, but I do think they did dominate against North, as North just came in with a bad plan to target or to tag Sicily rather than tagging an actual running defender. Carlton are going to win this game against Eagles. How many are they going to win it by, though? That's the question. And that's where the market's actually probably weird. The 40-point barrier is interesting with Eagles. I think Carlton's going to go on a run here and win this game actually convincingly. I'm going to say by 61 points. I do think West Coast won't be as competitive this week. Then you come up to Brisbane versus Geelong. I do think it's at the Gabba. You've got Dunkley back in. You've got Ashcroft back at the Gabba, which actually is a really good, dependable option. So, and Geelong, just a little bit, they're good in patches, but the problem for them is that they really haven't had their full 22 out there, or 23, I guess you could say, consistently. And I do think Brisbane, with Dunkley coming back, they'll be pissed off about their loss to Melbourne in the last that last 7 minutes where they conceded, I think it was 24 or 25 unanswered points. The game plan really stuffed up there. So I think Brisbane will come out with a fury and get started really quickly in this game. So I'm picking Brisbane by, I think, 16 points. I think this is a game where I can actually tip the Swans. I think they're not necessarily favourites in this game, out and out favourites, but I do think they have a slight advantage. And I think with Rampy getting off is absolutely huge, as well as Darcy being out, because it really negates that that ruckman advantage that really happened in the game against the Bulldogs last week. And I do think the Swans can leverage if they can just be 5 or so down in the clearance battle, with the way that they can run from defensive 50 into the forward 50 and really outclass them through the centre of the ground outside of clearances. I think they beat Freo, and I think they'll do it by I think the Swans will do it by 17 points. Then you got Port versus Collingwood. Ooh, this is going to be a tough one. I mean, Port, are they going to have... Butters will play, I think. Rizzi will play. I think they'll have a lot of guys. Obviously, Burne-Jones is out concussed. Collingwood, I think they're actually in a good spot. They got... Mitchell's going to be playing. Pendleby's going to be playing, as well as the Dacos brothers. I think I'm going to go Collingwood by... But this could be a game where Collingwood slip up. They haven't slipped up yet, but I do think this could be a game where they slip up. But I am going to go the favourite in this scenario, and I'm going to go Collingwood by... I think it's going to be a tight one, as I think Port Adelaide know that if they lose this game, Port, they're in danger of dropping out of the home finals. Just because Brisbane I have them tipped to beat Geelong. That would close the gap to a game, and Port don't have the percentage on their side either, as I think they, with the loss, would drop to about 110 if you can't really see it here. Can I move this here? Yeah, we'll move it up here. If they lose, they're going to drop to about 110, and Brisbane Lions will keep around 130 odd, so that's a 20% gap. That's unattainable in the last 5 rounds, basically. And I don't know if Port have the Eagles or not. Let me just check, because that could be huge. Do they have the Eagles? No, they don't. So they're not going to be able to make up that gap. So if they lose this week, they're in danger. Then you have GWS against Gold Coast, and I actually really fancy GWS at home. I don't think Gold Coast are looking good. I think they're in a little bit of a disarray. Yes, they did beat St Kilda, but was it them? Did they lose King, or was St Kilda? Did they lose King? I don't know which King brother. I get confused. Which I don't even know if Max or Ben is at which one. I think Ben's at Gold Coast, I think, but correct me if I'm wrong. I do think GWS win this game. I think with yes, Tom Green's out, which is a huge out, but GWS are on a run. They've won 4 straight, so, or maybe even more. But I think GWS win this by, I think I'm going to say 15 points. Then you have Melbourne against Adelaide. I think Melbourne wins this one. I think Adelaide obviously could win this, but I think Adelaide don't have a good record at the G from memory. As I don't think many sides outside Victoria actually have a good G record. And they're missing Rory Laird, which means Keys goes into the midfield. Rochelle got suspended, so that means Pedler probably has to take up a little bit more mantle, as he probably goes into the midfield a little bit more. But Dawson, I don't think, can carry side against Melbourne, and I think they've unlocked Gawn back to his best, where he just looks unstoppable. So I would go Melbourne by... I think Melbourne are going to win this by 23. Then you have St Kilda against North, and North just provided nothing, so you have to go St Kilda. And I'm going to say St Kilda by... I think they're honestly going to win this by 41 points. So those are my tips for the round. And if I go back to the main screen here, 1 second, there you go. I'll submit those tips there. That's the tips for the round. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another video. My probably going to be my team reveal, which might come later on the Friday. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.